And they only had to do that because it was on the reservation. He said, so he asked her straight up, he said, so in other words, you're gonna make them come through you first for the conditional use, and then that means you've got their first signature, so then they're yours. Well, I don't know how she meant it when she said it, but she said exactly. So I don't know if she meant like just being sarcastic or if she really meant that.
That was the whole plan.
Right, exactly. So Mike took it because this is what she said to Mike, and Mike took it as if she meant exactly that's what we're doing. So that's kind of the thing, is that if they're requiring a conditional use on every piece that they do, that's fee land, it's all special use, special requirement they call it. I just don't think that's right. And there's a little issue with her because they lived down in Inchland before, and they had a bunch of junk cars and all this other stuff. So I don't know if it's a personal thing here now, because now they're moving somewhere else and they don't want that. So then as soon as Mike got off the phone with her, she called Angie up and put a stop work order on everything that they were doing. So she said that they were doing something at the creek. I talked to Angie, and Angie said they had not done anything down there. So.
Spike.
Right.
Well, the other question that comes to my mind first and foremost, if this conditional use, is that only on fee land? Or do the same rules apply to tribal trust?
I think it's only on fee land. Because if
Well,
you
then
look
that's
at
wrong in itself.
Exactly, and that's the point Mike was trying to make to her is how come when it's fee land you have a special requirement? And then because they've told us that property that was on the map they gave us that was not listed as special requirement, they've required, and when Mike has questioned her about it, she just says, well, that's just for general use. So, well, can we get a map that shows exactly where special requirements are? Do you just arbitrarily say, oh, we're going to call this special requirement? I mean, it's...
I think at this point, and this makes a good point, that the Board of Commissioners should request to meet with the tribal council or tribal council members and planning members to discuss this agreement. And if we don't come to some kind of a satisfactory arrangement on this deal, that we just opt out. As much as I hate to go through that whole process again, but this is similar to what happened in the 90s, and when the county did opt out finally, because there was just no give, there was no consistency.
Right.
And that's what we'd hoped with this agreement, that we'd have consistency in land use and the treatment of the citizens. I know that, I don't know, I suspect that there are tribal members that believe that just because it's fee land and they pay tax here, their responsibilities to the tribe and the tribal council. And I disagree with that. We can't do that. Those people pay taxes to Ferry County on Ferry County property. And just because it's inside the reservation doesn't make it any less Ferry County property. And the tribe has no more jurisdiction over that property than we do over tribal trust, in my opinion.
But we can't do anything with them. We don't even sign off on any of those permits or anything on tribal trust land.
So here's a question. So a lot of this, when they're creating this, we have multiple meetings, down in this fee limit here. A lot of it's based on Okanagan. So maybe a call to Okanagan, see if they have similar issues or what similar situational problems, how that would relate in their dealings.
Well, yeah, she keeps saying that we're permit jumping, jurisdiction jumping or whatever, but like Mike tried to explain to her, this is a building permit. That's completely different. So that should have nothing to do with the land use. Like we do our land use, then it goes to building and I'm done with it,
Right.
And so she keeps saying that they had first signature, but on their conditional use, number 2 is you must go through the tribe for your building permit. So this is how they're getting people, is they have to have a conditional use, and according to the conditional use, they have to go through the tribe. So
that was not the intent.
No, and which is funny because she keeps saying to me, well, you know, when Leah was here and we did this and we talked to this and we did this and, you know, according to the agreement, and she keeps saying according to the agreement, and it's like, I know what the agreement says, and you're misinterpreting something or over-interpreting something, because they weren't permit jumping. Angie said she pays taxes to this county and she expects to use the services of the county. So.
And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm. And that's what Mike said to people, let's just ask them, who do they want to go through? And they say us, but he's like, it doesn't matter.
With that term on the conditional use agreement, I think that we should emphasize the fact we're not going to require our citizens to sign off on a land use agreement.
Right.
Because you're trying to lock them into your jurisdiction and they're not.
Right. Yeah, because the only thing we came up with is that if people call to inquire, is we go ahead and write out a sheet and have them sign it and everything to make sure we have documentation, because they did come to me first. The only reason they went to them is because she wouldn't give them an answer. She wouldn't give me an answer. She just kept saying, well, they have to fill out the application. So that's $50. They won't even tell them without, paying. And I mean, we just don't do that. I mean, I think it's only right if people call, they're trying to buy a piece of property, that everything's up in the open, what they can and can't do. And I surely don't give anyone a conditional use permit that doesn't even own the property yet, So, but they have since bought it because she told them they could do all this, but now they put a stop work order on that, and it's just kind of like, I feel bad for Angie and Mark because they're in the middle of it,
Right. Well, the whole point of this was to be a bit more black and white and less redundancy.
Right, because jumping permits to me means that we have a requirement that they don't like, so they go and find out what their requirement is. Okay, now I don't want to go through you, now I want to go. But that's not how it happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're in the process. It's not at the beginning of
Exactly.
which way to go. It's like
Right.
they get halfway in and realize, whoops, we can't do what we thought. Jump, to the other agency.
Right, exactly.
And this has nothing to do with that.
I mean, they never were issued a building permit.
Right.
And like Mike said, the land use side of it, because he doesn't enforce land use, I do. And I don't enforce building, he does. And he asked her that, well, do you enforce building? Because your builder's not going to be able to enforce this, Like, we're fine with you enforcing your land use stuff, but the building, if they want to go through them for building, I don't see why it's such a big deal. But I agree, though, that we should probably meet again with the council or something to go over this. And because I want to find out more about this conditional use as well, like why all of a sudden now.
And then within the use, they have
Yes.
check boxes that lock
Yep,
them
it says you have to
in.
go through the tribe, exactly. Because that's basically just usurping jurisdiction right there.
Yeah,
You know.
you're forcing the route they're going to take regardless of their choice. So I think, just for me, I agree with Mike in the sense we should either get together and just kind of hash out our issues, see if we can't come to a conclusion or a process that's going to fix that. If not,
I mean, if they're gonna have special requirements, I want a map that shows where the special requirement areas are, not just for general reference, and we can change it whenever we feel like it,
and consistency.
depending on who buys the property, and that's kind of like, I mean, she's picky down to the point of what cover sheet we put on it and send over to her. She has a fit if we don't use their cover sheet. And she says, as per the agreement, there's nothing in the agreement about what cover sheet I have to put on it to send over there. We've just been doing that to keep them, okay, fine. See attached,
Well, maybe the term we should use is, well, if that's not written in the agreement, we don't do it. And if that's going to be your requirement, then maybe we need to do away with the agreement.
Right.
I mean, they worked as hard as we did to come up with that agreement and to get people together. So it's got to have some value to them. But if they're gonna use it as a lever against our citizens, then we don't need it, we don't need to have that agreement.
Mhm. Right, I agree completely. I mean, it is
No.
great, in theory it was great, but it doesn't seem to be working that way.
Angie did tell me that when they went up there after they'd been gone for a while, on the way in, they met one or two tribal vehicles coming out,
Mhm.
loaded with personnel that had trespassed on the property. And this is one of the things that Bob Jones had said earlier down on Sand Poil, where he had some acreage, and all of a sudden, they found flint chips down there, and they said those were artifacts.
Mhm.
And he wasn't gonna be able to build on it. But if they can just willy-nilly go out on your property, they can seed that stuff pretty easy.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, we need to review that agreement. I mean, this has only been 2 years,
Yeah.
less than 2
I
years.
know. I mean, even Mike was thinning his property, through the USC or whatever, so, because he's on the reservation, they went out and looked at his property, and there was one tree that had a mark on it, and it was so big that it wouldn't have been one of the ones that were cut down. They had to do a whole arc study because there was a nick on the tree that might have been created.
No,
Well, I know a realtor in Kettle Falls that went out on a piece of property he owned on the reservation, what was planning on selling, a 20-acre tract. And the tribe wanted an archaeological study done.
Mhm.
They brought a lady out that could barely walk. She's in her 80s or 90s. And they walked around just a little bit, and she went back to conscious. Oh yes, I feel the spirits here. That was enough to shut him down. I can feel the spirits here. He says, how do you fight that?
Right, exactly.
So, I don't know if, he never did tell me if he finally sold it or not,
Yeah.
but there was some restrictions going to be placed on it. It's ludicrous.
Mhm.
You have to go through this every time. We spent those meetings in many, many miles up and down the roads to get that fixed, what we thought was a fair agreement for everybody. And then here first, just literally right out of the box, they violate, or the intent of it.
Well, then we had another one they were trying, it's called the Rose Garden, I believe, they're doing out on the reservation. And she wanted to go through us to do her building permit. And we did a note from Pete saying, well, I think we should be the lead on this because, it'll eventually go to the tribe. It's like a wellness center or something they're doing. And so Mike, before he responded back to Pete, he called her and asked her, well, and she said, no, I want to go through you guys. So he put his foot down on that one and said, no, they're going through us. But she tried to take that one away from us too.
There was a family, prominent family out of Keller, that was doing some land development. She was a tribal member, he was not. All the land that they were working on in the development was put into his name.
Mm.
They come after her, threatened to throw her in jail, and had horrendous fines piled up because they were doing that without a permit from the tribe.
Mm.
And they were basically saying it doesn't matter if he's your husband, he's considered a tribal member.
See, I didn't know that because that's.
I think since then, either he or both of them have passed. But she was, boy, I'll tell you, she was boiling mad
Mhm.
over that. And,
Right, because according to the agreement, if you're a tribal member, you have to go through the tribe.
no agreement at that time because they'd already rescinded it. But, and I was pretty firm. If it's fee land, you have no control over what these people do. They answer to Ferry County. And but they're still going to haul her to jail.
Well, see, and I think, personally, I think that should have been the way. We do fee land, they do trust land, and that's it. I mean, they can have their little sign off on ours, so they know what's going on. But, I mean, if it's going to be this every time we do a permit over there, it's just getting ridiculous.
It's pretty tough. And I agree with you. I do believe that both parties the fee landowner should have the option if they want to do tribal thing.
Mhm.
But the big drawback to that is you go to tribal courts, you don't come out here to Superior Court
Right,
on those permit issues once you do that. And if the tribe finds against you, you're pretty well beat.
right.
You got no chance to win, no way to defend. So that's a choice, that's a personal choice people have to make. But they have to have that option.
Right. Well, how do we get their ordinances? Like, I've been trying to find ordinances that they actually have, that they, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I know that the land use arrangement was described as a color cran area drawn out. They used a color, and could not identify any boundary
Mhm.
because it was the broad stroke of a color cran.
Right. That's the map that we have.
Mm.
And they can vary a quarter of a mile, half mile, whatever their winds take them on that map as far as land use. The problem where the land use deal really bothers me the most is if there's a different standard for tribal members and non-tribal members.
Right.
If that standard's different, then that's wrong,
Mhm.
because it's the same activity that'll take place. We're all humans, we're all part of the same species, I guess,
Mhm.
for lack of a better word. So we shouldn't be treated differently
Right.
um, based upon our race or
Mhm.
whatever. And it was interesting that in one of our meetings at their tribal center in Nispila, I brought up the subject that the non-member or a tribal member on fee land is not allowed to use Ferry County for permitting. And there was a gentleman there that I'm pretty certain had some law degree, tribal member.
Mhm.
He said, we don't do that. About that time, I looked over at Pete, and he looked at her, and said, well, yes, we do.
Yeah,
I said, you can't do that.
they do.
But they do.
Mhm. And it says right in that agreement, the tribal members have to go through them, so. You know, and that was the point of him putting that article in there from that paper, was after we had originally signed the agreement, and she's like, oh, she said our setbacks are more restrictive, but they're not. I mean, Little Jim Creek's 50 feet, and she's making them go 200 feet, so obviously, and right now, that is dry, so.
In my own personal opinion, 50 feet's too far.
Especially for that. I mean, it's just a, you know, it's a runoff, basically.
I mean, I probably wouldn't want somebody's septic system in it, so bury it on down, but I'm almost gonna bet you that you could bury it underneath there and the water's gonna flow over the top and never impact
Never
it.
even know exactly.
So we got some stupid rules that we're supposed to follow. So what's your guys' pleasure? Send a letter and invite them up to talk? Then send it to the tribal council, do not send it to Pete Palmer.
Yeah,
You can carbon copy her,
yeah.
or the tribal planning, but also make sure the chairman of the tribal council is aware.
That would be a good idea, what Nathan said too about checking with local.
I will.
to
I'll
see
check
if
with
they
them
have-
and see what
they
well,
can-
how they work with that, how's their agreement working.
Well, guess I can file that one in here, because it's gonna dump back.
Yeah. Yes, that one will be back. So I'll get something together and then I'll send it over for y'all to look at, and then before it gets sent out. Do you want it, I'll make it up so you guys can sign it and send it out of here, so then you're inviting them. And then I'll send it over and go from there. And just a quick, the SMP, I'm gonna get that letter together too and send it over for you guys to sign.
Yep.
And get that off so we can get that done and out of the way.
Good.
What about GMA?
Hmm?
Where are we at on that?
We're waiting for, I have to look at my email again, but there is a date that they go. I know they lost their, what is that called, non-appealability or something, I can't think of the exact wording now, but, so it's going to Superior, I believe, now, I don't know, I gotta check on that, I'll have to get back to you
Rather
on
than
that for sure,
Yeah.
but,
Court of Appeals.
yeah.
So then it comes back to Ferry County Superior Court.
Mhm. I think the Court of Appeals passed on it though, gave them a decision of not.
I think I read something like that too, they said it,
Mhm.
this isn't an issue for court.
Well, I thought they
Appeals court.
kicked it back though, because they're skipping a step.
Yeah.
They were hoping to just get to the Court of Appeal and be done with this, but I think Court of Appeal says, hey, hold on, send it back to Superior, go through that process, and then it may go back to, at that point, depending on what Superior
Depending
Court.
on Superior Court.
Yeah, so it's like, let's just be done with it one
I
way or
know,
another.
we're so close,
I
we're
know,
like this close.
yeah, so,
It all comes down to the fact that that's how the, who are they, Future Wise
Yeah,
gets their grant funding.
well, right,
It's
because
all,
they
it's
just
all
get
about
people,
money.
that's,
It
yeah,
has
that's why
nothing to
people
do
donate
with it.
money.
they're gonna fight at every step,
Mhm.
regardless of what happens.
Well, they are, and I'm sure once it's over, they'll find something else,
Oh, yeah.
especially if we win. All right, well,
All right.
be in touch, thank you
All right,
guys very
thank you.
much, and we'll see you, bye, Jennifer.
Mary? Hey, Mary.
I touched on the next item a little bit, but I think it's the health insurance with Aetna. And I would, I think the proper way to handle this is most likely to call our brokers
Uh-huh.
and have them meet with us and let them know what's going on, because quite frankly, I don't want to drag this out because I'm in pain now. This is me, and I don't know how many other of our employees have had issues with it. Hopefully none. But right now, my health care is blockaded by the insurance company.
Yeah.
They have control over whether they will pay for MRIs or this injection that I'm doing, and I can tell you the injection works for about 4 weeks. So my next thought is I'm going to call my doctor, the orthopedic surgeon, and have him take a look at my back and see if that makes any difference. When I was in sometime this past month, to see the orthopedic surgeon's assistant, whatever she is, Sherry, she reordered my MRI. Now, I've been almost 2 years trying to get this MRI. And they come back and say, well, it's not worded right, or you haven't done this correctly. And I'm thinking, these doctors have done this. You're just stalling. I won't get into the details of the issue, but I waited and I waited and I waited, and I finally got mad at the orthopedic doctors because I thought they're the holdup. That's why Inland Imaging hasn't called me. But then I find out from them, not from my insurance company, that they've denied that MRI. And I can't even find, I spent an hour this weekend talking with their phone person when you call for information,
Right.
as to why they denied the payment on that back surgery or steroid treatment. And anyway, long and short of it was, I got no answer. I went online, I looked at my webpage where you can go and check your medical records, and there's no explanation of benefits that tell me why, other than that we're studying it further, or we're not going to pay for it. It goes over the sidelines, it's $1,400 what you pay. I've already met my deductible, so I know that's not there. That's not the cost. So if anyone else has had any problems with it, I mean, there's no insurance there. They're just a blockade to my health care, because I also have Medicare. I thought, well, they'll just bill Medicare. And the doctors told me, I said, no, if we bill Medicare and your primary declined it, Medicare will automatically decline. So,
Do you have any feedback on our health insurance? Any problems with other people not paying or process?
Not that well, I've heard people say we don't have insurance anymore.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're just a collector of dollars.
I don't, Rosanna would probably be the one would hear most of those complaints, I would guess. But I don't know, we just refer them to, to call the number on their car because we can't do
I did.
anything for them.
I got some little Indian on the phone, could barely understand him, and he did absolutely nothing after an hour. I'm sitting there with that phone for about an hour, and I got nothing out of it except, well, we're going to send you an EOB, explanation of benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And I went online and looked, and nothing there. I've seen nothing. It'll take them months in the mail to get it to me. And I'm not waiting months. And I can't take much more ibuprofen.
That's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's hard on your is it kidneys? Liver.
Liver,
Liver.
caspase out in your stomach.
Yeah, I know a lot of things. It's
Well, we're rich. We got $1 million.
Sure. Yeah, I was gonna go back and
Spending $500,000 a month.
that's scary.
So we're good for about 3 months if nothing comes in. Hopefully it'll keep trickling in.
Yeah. But we're spending more than we're taking in.
But it's the American way, right?
It seems to be our way anymore. I'm just like, hey people, y'all are making me nervous.
We're not doing too bad though. Our revenue's 2% more than where we typically would or should be in relationship to the annual. If you base it on 8% per month, we should be at 40%. We're at 42. Our expenditures are only 36. So of what we've budgeted. So we're holding our own. Just one little hiccup will make a big difference.
Yeah, we have several budgets having issues already.
And as you tie in potential budget amendments, you tie in the big December bills that can be late in the year that kind of hit us.
Yeah, because we have some, especially like elections are. It's like
A lot heavier
that's
this
heavy.
year,
The
yeah.
last half of the year, more money.
Yeah, so it's weighted different.
Yeah.
Can't just divide it out 12 ways. Heavy to the end.
The only thing that's a little bit deceptive about that number, 42% number, is the fact that it's just falling right after tax day. So I could go back and look at it, yes, but what previous years have been. But if
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was gonna look at that before this afternoon, to get an idea of what the story.
Compared to the last few years, to see what that percentage is at. Well, anyway, I've been using a lot of the data that we've been putting together. It's been very constructive. We'll keep moving on to other things, just trying to identify patterns, history, and try to make the points that it is what it is.
our May revenues are down a little bit from last year. About 19,000. But it's up from the previous year. 16 was only 406 and we're 414. a big difference. Our expenditures in May of last year was 584, and they were only 428 this year. So that's a good thing.
It's usually the incident of paying for something, hits you real hard one month. It's out of the ordinary.
But that's
When you
That's
average it
almost
out.
it's almost $150,000 difference.
Yeah, I can't
Expenditures.
remember,
What that was for.
when did we buy all the sheriff's cars?
Probably.
Well, yeah, that's.
That's about that time, I think.
I was thinking it's in the summer. That might have been the big one. Back then. I think
That's
it
one
was
of the
in
things
last
that's
year.
separate too. And these expenses, are capital improvement expenses included?
Yeah, you'll see them, they're listed usually, well, on those, they're all lumped in there.
Yeah. So that's not reflected over here, is it? Because capital improvement dollars are specific to capital improvement. So they would
No,
not be included in this, would they?
They are.
Are they?
Part of the total expenses.
Other finance sources, but
Those are transfers out to the funds. But otherwise, all the rest of the expenditures, this includes the capital expenditures as well.
But on the revenue side, you have revenue that's directly tied to capital improvement. Does that show up here on the revenue?
Yeah, all the money, that's basically, all the money come in, that's all that's gone out, no matter where it came from,
Right.
Okay.
in the general fund.
And that's what I mean. You have this hit, it could be a grant, you got revenue coming in, or a check, or you paying for something within the grant, but you already have money that, it gives you a good general idea, but here's this anomalies.
And then most of those expenditures you've already budgeted into the budget, so
Right.
therefore,
They offset.
the percentage of the budget is what you really need to
Right.
watch.
Yeah, because like, I know the jail has had some big expenditures that apparently wasn't in the budget. Maintenance was like 20,000 in the hole, I was like, that? Oops.
No good.
Well, somebody said that was for the plumbing, and I didn't know if they had talked to you guys about that, if that was supposed to come out of capital improvement, or what was going on there.
I got word of that, but I
How
don't
much do they have in their inmate welfare?
I'm not sure what they got in there.
Didn't we just use that up for?
They used it for washer and dryers.
Yeah, the industrial washer and dryers.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if they used it all up, but yeah. Used
I know they used a good portion of it at least.
Right.
And that's what, it came to my mind that Sean had been and asked about spending some of it for a purpose. And I couldn't remember if it was sewer or whatever.
Yeah, because this is just the jail budget itself, not the inmate welfare.
So,
Don't they supposed to use inmate welfare for cameras or something? If they were money.
I could see how they could quantify that for their protection.
well, we okayed, but remember, it got pushed into the next budget cycle because they couldn't get the contractor, so they had to go to the, but they actually, I think, got a better deal or cheaper or something. It'll be in this budget cycle. But looking at, compared to last year, 42 and 42, so we're in the same percentage as
Yeah.
last year. 2017 is
We're looking at the budget, we'll get through this month pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
just 1 month at a time, right?
That's it.
It's about all you can do.
One day.
You can project more than that, we have. Doesn't mean we always get there.
Yeah, I don't know. I must be doing budget and increasing.
Anything else?
Well, I come over about the insurance. I didn't know,
Oh.
if somebody from our office, if you're looking at some different
think we'll
insurance
I
companies?
think,
or-
well, it's my opinion, is look into it a little bit, figure out what's going on here, you know.
I want
get
to,
some
know
feedback.
if other people are having difficulties. And I think we need to let our brokers know that we're having some issues. And, you know, this is early enough in the year, maybe we need to take a look at going back to the Washington group that we were with before. See what their rates are versus ours. Ours haven't went up much, but if you don't have any health care, if that's the general consensus of the people, I want incidents, specific incidents. Don't just tell me we don't have insurance, so we can change. And could we afford to go back to the old? That's the other big question.
$200,000 swing. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But who knows, maybe they want more customers. Cut their overhead down a little bit, who knows?
Hard to say where all of that's going.
Just keep in mind, the insurance companies don't seem to be here for anything but the bottom line. And we really, in my own opinion, I know that some of the questions that were thrown out to me this time are similar to what Blue Cross does with the third-party administrator. They want to know, was it an accident? Was there some other insurance that would cover it? Those are all reasonable questions, but you got to ask the questions. You can't just deny. And I have not seen a form in the last year that said, was this an accident? Was it on the job accident? Or just simply not enough information. And this last doctor, the last gal, she said, well, and I had the letter from him for the denial, and she looked at it and said, well, I'm pretty sure I can write this, so I'll answer their questions and then move forward. That's a month ago. Still no MRI. So the last check was they're in denial. They're not going to send, not going to approve it. I'm not too interested in the doctor just cutting on me for the sake of it. Well, we know what the problem is, it's whether to cut it out.
Yeah.
Especially when we only have the one good arm left.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what the insurance thing was.
Okay.
So maybe if we contact the brokers and see if they'll come up, and then have, what's that? Her here too.
Yes. Yeah. If we know ahead of time, we can change her schedule, because otherwise she doesn't usually work on Mondays. Unless it's payroll time, but then she's busy.
Well, we'll get all that figured out. Ask some questions.
Well, that's the whole thing. You gotta ask the question before you make a decision. I have one other option, and I haven't pursued it yet for myself, and that's to go to the VA and have them start the process to and let them deal with the insurance company for reimbursement.
But yeah, you should be able to get somebody that can answer your questions, though.
Yeah, that was my
Call
problem.
Customer service, or I was trying to remember how I did that last year.
Keep drawing it out. You know, month goes
That's it,
by,
yeah,
another
yeah.
month, you know.
Yeah.
But you should get your EOBs fairly regular. I mean.
You would think.
Yeah, because I usually get an email notes saying there's a, new claim posted, and then go in and
And
look
I've
at your
got-
account.
On the back injections, I gotta make sure the doctor got pre-approved or tried to.
Yeah.
Somebody could have broken down the system on the path forward. All it takes is one person not to do their job or didn't do it right. And the
Yeah.
whole thing gets messed up.
Or gets mad and quits and throws it in the trash can. and quits.
Yeah, yeah,
Or they don't code it correctly.
yeah.
I went through that.
And then it gets denied
Sometimes,
just because it's in the wrong category.
Yeah, because
That doesn't qualify.
'Cause I called the clinic itself, called the billing department. They blamed it on the doctor blamed it on the
Yeah.
receptionist. I was like, wait a minute. Because I don't think it's right they should be able to bill L&I and our insurance for the same office visit. They were double, and I said,
One or the other.
yeah, why can you bill both? Because if your doctor at the end of your appointment asks how your surgery went or how your knee's feeling, like in the case that was with Rick, right, when he had his knee surgery years ago. And apparently that's normal. I was like, that's not right.
Double dipping.
Yeah. So they bill both.
And you wonder why our insurance is so high
Yeah.
for that type of stuff.
Yeah, just because at the end of the appointment, they asked him how his knee was doing. I was like,
Mm.
oh. I don't know. I had the same thing happen up here when, when we were doing all that wellness stuff. Went for wellness. I think at the end she asked me something about if my meds needed refilled.
And all of a sudden it
And so, yeah. Well, then it was an
requalified
office
you
call.
for a whole, you don't get the free visit anymore.
Yeah. I was just like,
Don't get me started on meds.
all right.
Gas is like 3.5 now a gallon. You drive in to get your meds. Oh, can't have that till tomorrow.
All right.
According to our records, you've got enough to get you through today. So you gotta make a second trip to get your meds because you only get 30 days at a time. Been on the one for 10 years and you'd think, you could get a month or 6 months or a year's supply at a time.
And if you go through the mail order, you can get 90 days. So what's the difference?
Yeah, you'd think it'd be more restrictive if anything. Rather than,
Mail order, you can get up to 90 days if you go through that. But I ran into issues with that, so I gave that up. Because they couldn't get it met, but they didn't tell me that. So I'm
waiting for something that's
Yeah.
not gonna come.
It wasn't coming, and I go online and look, and it just like changed the approximate date to like a year from now. I'm like, what? And I ran into several things with the mail thing. I'll forget that. I'll just go to the drugstore.
I'd prefer to do it locally anyway. You need the drugstore if you're getting your drugs from some other pharmacy hundreds of miles away, these guys get nothing. Before long, they can't survive.
Yeah.
VA got me caught up. My first prescriptions from them, $24 copay for each one, regardless of what it was. It was just a flat $24. And one of mine was an $8 prescription. Take me long to say I don't want any more VA stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Until you get a $100 prescription.
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Well, I will say this though, good glasses and they're for you once a year.
Mine are never free
No,
because they don't cover progressive and they don't cover, I can't remember what
All the specialty
Yeah.
stuff.
and try to buy a frame that your insurance will pay for.
Yeah. But it covers the whole thing because.
They're about that thick and black is black.
Yeah.
Give you the generic one.
Very generic.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea what breed these are, but the price was right. And the prescription was right.
That's helpful.
It is. I thought my left eye went blind in the last set I got.
Oh.
So I slipped back to my reading glasses. Dollar store, cost me $1. It's all a game.
Yep. Okay.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Joyce.
Here we go. Have you looked at your guys' budget?
Which one?
Commissioners?
Travel?
Yeah, supplies, professional service, travel, all in all,
They're all over.
already. I was like,
I can guarantee you the traveling on my part. I haven't turned a voucher in 3 months, 2 months. Not going to.
most of
Put
yours
up
was
with
right
the
at the
hassle.
beginning.
Yeah. The only thing I've done is with the county. That one's been
Anyway,
a little bit, but
I can't remember, some dues was way over in the miscellaneous budget. Like double, I was like. oh,
Really?
yeah.
Huh.
Oh, is it something, because of the lawsuit stuff, they were wanting more from what
I'll bet our
local,
local union attorney probably drove some of our special.
well, I don't know, but I mean, in Olympia,
Was it Lawson?
yeah, so I mean, because they were getting groups together for maybe a class action suit, and so they were looking at maybe,
We contributed some to that.
so that might have been a change there.
I don't know if it was in the budget or not, but that come up this year.
Yeah, I don't think we had a
Depends.
union attorney in the budget.
Huh?
I don't think we had a union attorney.
Well, we've hired an attorney. And that would come out of commissioner's budget.
Yeah,
We did?
for all,
We've agreed, I
Union
haven't
stuff.
seen a bill yet. We'll have to compensate for that, because that was like 25,000.
it's 24, but it's split half with Public Works, half with us.
Ouch.
And then now the other union,
Well,
that's gonna,
yeah, so we had talks with Kevin, and he represents Ponderay, Stevens County, Franklin County, a bunch of other counties. With the new union coming on, with nobody having experience with the new union, I thought it was, be wise to have somebody with some experience with union stuff, to know what we're doing and what we're not, and how that process works forward. They put out, with the union that I've been working with since August, and so they put it to a vote at 1%, and it was voted down. So after that, it's like, well, I don't know how we can come up with more rationally, reasonably. So the second half is he will now negotiate for us. And he was able to get 2 contracts in Ponderay at 1% this year. So you kind of have to weigh cost benefit with the thing. So,
one of the other things that will be coming up in our budget time is to look at those, the low minimum wage for next year. That's, minimum wage is 13, I think. So in order to bring up the bottom salaries, and I don't think we're gonna be able to bring up just the bottom, we're gonna bring them all up equally. I need to know what that impact will be.
Right now, I think,
Like we
I feel
thought,
like it's awful close.
is it 14? For like the deputy?
They're like 30,000 something now. I don't know if that is it ever. I don't know what it is.
13,000. And the $13 would be 26 something, right?
Yeah, well, I think we're over that, but when it goes to 15, then no.
It ain't going to 15 though, is it?
No, not till like, is it 19, 20?
Yeah, down the road.
Down the road a year or two.
They had 15 attached to it?
I think eventually.
I was thinking it capped at 13.
Oh.
15 was King County. They did one. But I don't think the state did a 15. I think they stopped at 13. But I could be mistaken. You guys would be the ones to know.
Yeah, I'll have to look. Seems like the deputies are at, right around 30, might be a little over like 30. I don't know, budget
27.
Yes, I don't think we have anyone under 27.
We took care of all that. the
Not that
ones-
we don't need raises, I mean, I think we're still fairly
Well,
above minimum,
I
but.
understand that. but I was under the impression we had to bump it another 12 to get it where we needed to be, 1,200 a year.
Well, I think that would probably be if we had to get to the 15. Because before they were at 1284, I think, it seemed like it was, and then we did the 1200 last year, was it? Yeah, because we didn't get a raise this year. Well, most of us didn't, there's only a couple that did, but.
About 2,080 in a year, hours,
Yeah.
2,080.
Yeah, if you have to go to 15, that's 31.2.
Right.
Yeah, so if it goes, yeah, that's, they'd have to come up to meet that. And for some reason I thought it was, and it wasn't till another 2 or 3 years, but maybe it wasn't.
Worth looking at.
That 14.5, it's just right there. So the 15 would pop it up.
I knew we were thinking, if it's going there, we were gonna have to start trying to increase the
Phase it in, so we
deputies.
don't-
Yeah,
Hit us all at once. And that was the intent when we did the last one. And I forget what that worked out to, 1,200 per employee, it's like 120,000. Would that be right?
that'd be about right, because we have roughly 100 employees.
And that would depend upon whether you apply it to union scale or not. Like the unions, whatever their scale is, just do the non-union members.
Yeah, it's, almost all the union people make more than that, so.
That's what I'm thinking, most of them are well over that minimum. Do we have any consent items? Alrighty.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. This deal from Ed Watt, I don't think Ed's the chairman out there with Crab, is it?
No, he's not. I'm having some issues with him.
When are those meetings, Jennifer?
Pardon?
When are those meetings that you know about?
They're the 4th.
We just changed them, and I don't have it memorized. The 4th Wednesday
Oh, what time?
at the old Crew hall, Fire Hall down on Main Street there.
Yeah, what time is it?
6 p.m., 6 to 7. It's usually about an hour.
Because I think that's
Cool.
also.
But you guys asked for the board to come, and he insisted that he could do it himself because they made him the point man on the park. And so he has been given the authority, so now he can come and I said, no, we need a quorum. And he insisted that he could come and do the meetings from now on because he was given the authority. So, but the problem is Lorna can't come on Mondays, and she's the chairman. She can't come on Mondays because she drives a dialysis patient to Spokane.
I would be comfortable if the chairman's signature was on this request. I think that's the bigger issue. It's just Ed. And while I respect Ed, the fact of the matter is we need something from the board, not
Yeah.
Mr. Watt.
Yeah, but also I needed them to come in and talk to you about what their wants are for hiring someone for that park. And we're already into June and we still don't have anybody to do the maintenance and stuff. And, Glenn had wanted a raise. He wanted us to double what he was making last year for that park. And Tribe Board doesn't want to double it, and they wanted me to go out to that again, but they're just directing me to go do stuff that they should be coming to you first and giving you their advice, because they're an advisory group, so. But, yeah, Teresa's in Texas, Lauren's in Spokane,
Kind of hard to
yeah,
get everyone together.
You do the minute, you attend those, don't you?
yeah, I'm their secretary treasurer.
They have an agreement, the original agreement had Stevens County paying.
Yes, we know, and I found out, I got all the info from Joyce, and all I need to do is bill them in the fall. Because it's been 5 years since they've been billed. They stopped paying because we stopped billing them. So change of hands in this office so many times, and nobody knew to bill them anymore. So we just kept waiting for them to give us money, but the point was no one here was actually sending them a bill for their half. So I need to do it in the fall and catch up for 5 years. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Yeah,
So is it every month or is it just
it's every month
seasonally?
seasonally, from about March to about October usually.
Okay,
Some years we start meeting in April, some years we meet all the way till November, but usually October we're done.
well, if you want somebody to tag in, I can try, that's the same, not just the conservation district. So I'd have to just alternate between the two, and then I can plug into the conservation district in the months that they don't have the crowd work, but I'm willing to step in
Got your picture in
and
there?
see what it's like.
The Austin Summit?
Does that help?
It's pretty simple. It's just,
Not in this one.
but it's just that they want
That was
to
in
do a
the
lot of
other one, I
stuff,
guess.
and they don't have
Yeah.
anybody there.
They sent me
It's
an
hard to get
email
them all
and showed
together
me.
because Teresa lives on the other
Yeah.
side, and
Right.
to come all to come in
Yeah.
here.
We had two former governors speaking.
I'll put it down
right
for
behind
next
us.
time out. And
One from Wyoming, he was pretty out there.
and you can just-
With his opinion, about the other one, North
Or do we still try and
Carolina.
get them in here, that one thing, because I want to talk about that with Glenn.
They kept referring to
Yeah, I
our
don't know.
presentation
Some of
earlier.
the stuff they had that they wanted
We
information
kind
on
of come
too,
to the
right?
conclusion we're not
There was
rural
something else they wanted
We're
that
frontier.
was just they could come in here and ask
compared
instead
to
of.
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, I
Always
just, I
said
want them to, they
no,
just
we
keep
talked
asking
about
me to
rural.
take care of stuff, and
And
they should be coming
remote.
to you first and
Yeah,
asking
we were in a
permission to
different
do
category.
stuff.
It was
It's not
pretty
just their
apparent by the time we got
secretary,
done
it's not
speaking,
mine.
the different
It's not my
angles,
job
you know,
to
one from California,
do
what
this.
they think is rural,
You know,
you know.
and they wanted me to change the agreement as
Virginia.
well, and that's
That's
not,
right.
also not my place to do.
Which is closer to
So
us,
they need to
but
be coming
still,
to you and
we're on a
asking
whole other
you,
level.
can we please change the agreement because of
It was
this?
interesting on the radio the other day. I
So
was
they
listening
interested doing that before their next
about
meeting? or not?
broadband. The fastest
It's 2
download.
weeks out.
We
Fremont,
actually, if
California.
they changed it this month, if they met,
That was surprising.
no, they didn't.
And then they were talking about,
They met the last day of, they
the
were
most,
talking about it, but they
the
never
most,
did. Yeah, I'll be back then,
So it should be on the
fiber
22nd.
hookups.
should be.
Which community has the
Oh.
most?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which
if not,
ones
I'll
have
put it
the
down,
least?
so if not.
We didn't make the lease list.
And
I
then
don't know why.
Well, we're actually, that's part
They
of
changed
our
our
issue,
meetings, what
is
they
because
did,
when
they
they
changed the-
categorize the different counties,
Yeah, because they're going
What
to change the planning.
access we
commission
do have
meetings.
versus what we don't,
I'm
and
happy
the
with it.
criteria that they use says that we're partially served and doing okay. Well, the reality says, when you actually dive into the numbers of what that means,
So,
it's like, great, some of these carriers theoretically cover an area, but they don't. And that's, you know, but,
We just had to change.
when you go after
the
federal
meetings because
funding
it wasn't
or-
working with any of
so
our
that's something that
sections,
we
so
have to get
find-
changed.
The only thing that worked was
The
the
reality
frequency.
versus what they have in their charts,
okay.
two
And
different
it doesn't
things.
mean it
And
has to
so,
be permanent
Early
that
on,
way,
when I was
but
first here,
I just
and I
had
don't
so
think
many
it's
things going on,
changed
I was
now.
gonna
It was
have to tell them
fiber
over and over
over
again, they're like, okay, let's just
Canadian
change over.
border.
yeah, they're still
So,
there.
no,
Verizon
I
had it, they
advertised
refused to
it.
light it up
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it wasn't cost beneficial
Sure.
to them.
Yeah.
And then they would don't want competition.
Okay.
So,
Put it down.
yeah,
So
it's
as
still
long-
there. I don't know if they still own it or Frontier leases it, or I have no idea, but whatever agreement there. No, Border Patrol has some.
At that,
I don't know.
at that juncture, they were saying, hell, nobody knows what telecom's own.
No,
They
they
have
keep it
They don't-
very secret because it's all a business model to them. That's why we're trying this other technology to circumvent some of that and to do it for a reasonable cost. Ponderay got that BTOP grant for 27 million to put in fiber. Fiber to the home on the south half for 1,000 people. That's $27,000 per person to watch on Netflix. I just can't justify that. I mean,
How much?
if it was to a business community or to an industrial
This
complex, fine.
They're doing it
Right.
right.
Fiber to the home,
They
yeah,
have
I mean,
to
it's
be able
great.
to go on the
Netflix comes in
section.
great at
They're
whatever your
asking
download
for
speed is.
Permission to do that.
But how can you justify
They're going to get us a list
$27 million
of
of
names and,
federal tax
um,
money?
license
The
plate numbers and.
cost benefit isn't there. I don't care how you
Attached to
look
this.
at it. It's
So that
never
everyone
going
will
to be.
sign off, 'cause it was just kind of confusing.
And
to-
that's why we chose as a PUD at the time not to pursue any of it.
yeah, those
Question
are
you might answer, and maybe not.
Oh, so it's tentative. so we
Sometimes,
just want-
if I try to download
Anyways.
a
And then
YouTube
these are just
video,
corrections, I believe, to payroll that was in
never
a
happens.
process on
Just takes
Friday.
forever.
So,
Mhm.
And the next time I go on, and I clicked on one here the other day, last night. Very this one.
And just-
And it was there right now, music video.
Mhm.
Um,
So what service are you on?
I got HughesNet.
There's usually a big latency, you know, so sometimes you do it. But usually your long downloads of like big files is fine. That's usually not affected. But your connection, there's something probably hanging out. When it talks back and forth to say, hey, I want to download this, you know,
I
and
often
then
wonder
it,
if it's in my phone. And whatever you're choosing to connect, because my wife's does a lot better than mine.
Mhm, it could be.
And of course, yours is a newer iPhone than mine. Or it might just be the way I do it. I do know that 2 years, 6 months.
Probably this last meeting, some discussion, that's why.
I haven't done a date.
So they need to know, they're gonna come up with a date and names and information on
Is this my
So
cut
they don't
there?
have it
Yes,
yet.
it is.
it.
They're going to attach it, they're going to attach a sheet to it with everyone's signatures and their license plate numbers and all that. So we'll know who all is driving and what they're using.
I think it's just gonna be a special. It's not gonna be.
I'm gonna hold off on discussion on that. Okay, so we've got the warrant register. Payroll, Ferry County warrant register. I'll make a motion for the payroll audited and certified for the Ferry County warrant register for a total of $2,233.88.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the payroll audited certified voucher. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's mine from, I looked at it earlier on.
Yep.
Read my mind.
Okay, so we have payroll transfers. I'll make a motion for warrant register for payroll transfers
Huh?
for a total of $3,549.68.
I'll second your motion.
So moved and seconded for payroll transfers. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. So did you buy the blow-up elephant?
No,
Who brought that?
no, that was Jim's duty.
Was it?
No. I just did the sound and all that. That was my portion.
I'll just go back to Mary and tell us that we have a discussion. This is just random. Change.
Need a motion to approve that? Or do we just sign off on it?
What have you done in the past? Let's just have one.
Thing is, conservation. Start a process for accountability and communications and all of that.
It's gonna affect everything. This is just all the random discussion they come up with, because it's just from 2017 forward.
The different issues and the same thing, travel.
Yeah, it's just a long explanation of how they ended up doing it and why, and kind of proceeds.
I think it's gonna be an issue that comes up.
Yeah, so.
I would need to keep all that with,
Folder.
yeah,
We'll
we'll just do an active working folder.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we already need all that.
Caught me off guard, there's almost always three, and this time it was two from John.
Oh,
You read it twice, huh?
I read it at home too, actually. Usually I read it at home, I forgot. I must glance through it and then again. You just never know. So we're good to go for lunch?
It's approved by motion,
No, these are just,
Sign
because usually you better allow amendments to just sign off on unnecessary.
So I'm gonna put this, this that came across the correspondence.
I thought this was just a German signature. Usually when it's a German signature, we don't do a motion, but usually when it's.
so why we all three sign?
Plan I was gonna
That way it's covered.
have a meeting with that group,
Because of the other right.
initial meeting to line out some stuff.
Depends on the boss.
See where that goes. Well, set a baseline for, no, I understand that part of it, everything. And they should have, I think. it was in
Usually
there.
we allow her to sign off on it, but because it's got the lines, we can just go ahead and sign it. We don't need a motion or
Oh,
anything.
that's right, we were talking about that.
They,
Okay, so do like this?
Yes.
I think that's gonna fall into, clear risks discussion.
So I'll have Jennifer take this back to the crab board and get a signature on it from the chairman.
Right, and then I'll try and go to that next crab board
Okay.
meeting and see what is what.
That way we get it taken care of.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things hanging out. If there's nothing else before this board, I'd make a motion to adjourn for lunch.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded to adjourn for lunch. We'll be back at 1 PM. It's 11:50. We're down, closing the meeting until lunch for lunch.
So we are officially adjourned.
So Jennifer, this meeting is at the fire hall in Curlin.
The old one downtown,
You,
Okay.
across from the restaurant.
you say you want to get
Right.
out of here at 2?
No, that's next week.
Okay, 18th.
Okay.
And it just depends. We just threw that
I think we,
today, just kind of maybe an update of where we've been working on the 6-year plan and stuff, and just a follow-up on where we're at and what we're hoping to achieve, deadlines and
And
stuff.
Larry wrote a letter in, he said, Nathan, you asked for some information, so he wrote a letter.
Okay.
And then he asked if we wanted him to hear it too, and I said, I don't know. He said, I
Yeah.
really have nothing to contribute, so, but I figured
Yeah,
I
he
came on
sent
to
the
this
rough
call too.
draft, and so that section is in there, how we refine it, that's, but I just want to look at the information.